of these animals is something, that will create, so the microbes will rebel against this. I mean, it's a natural response of nature to this kind of farming. So we know it's going to happen. We know also, for example, recent studies just last week, study has shown that this long COVID phenomenon, so people have persistent symptoms, which is really a major compromise of quality.
I don't know if it is getting more complex, the same thing, because the mutations that came up in India were weaker than the first one, so we thought we've beaten it and we're fine. That kind of conclusions we came to. One thing I want to ask you, sir, in what way is the biome connected to this? See, how we see food is, we see that when we eat something, we must eat that kind of food which in terms of species is furthest away from us. So plant life is definitely far away from us. If at all, if you must eat non-vegetarian or something which is not of, from plant life, you can eat fish. Fish, that's why we call it as, in South India we call it as jalapushpam. This means it's the flower in the water. Because it behaves like plant life in your body, because it's so further away from your own genetic code. If you eat something which is closer to your genetic code, for example, like mammals, if you eat a mammal which is so close to you, the complexity of that genetic code and its biome and everything doesn't work for us. This is a fundamental thing, that it'll dull your system, it'll complicate your own genetic codes, it'll get mixed up. And now everybody is talking about epigenetics. I mean, that's not my area, I don't know scientific knowledge, but we know what causes dullness in us, what causes alertness in us, what lowers our perception, what heightens our perception. This is something we're always conscious about. Before we put something, we're always looking in terms of not protein, vitamin like this. We are only thinking in terms of, if I consume this, will I become less receptive or more receptive? This is the only concern we have. Because in this life, whether you live for 100 years or 50 years, how receptive you are is how profound your life's experience is. So we are not looking at the length of our experience, but the profoundness of our experience. So in this concern, we are seeing that what we consume must be far away from us in genetic code. Does this have something to do with biome?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I always say the best thing that you can do for your health in terms of eating is to eat what your microbes thrive on. And that's essentially, it's largely plant-based food, mainly because of the fiber molecules that only the microbes can break down, and these polyphenol molecules and some of the micronutrients. So what you're saying is essentially just another non-scientific version of that same story, that we have this ancient life form. These microbes have been around for 3.5 billion years on the planet, and they thrive best on the kind of food items that are far away from our own, mammalian evolutionary step. I've actually never thought about this, like what you just said, but it fits exactly that.
That's great.